This is how to play the theme from Harry Potter, otherwise known as Hedwig's theme. We are using the simple melody that we learned in a previous lesson to this, which I'll link to up here and also in the description. So that lesson just teaches the melody and is appropriate for total beginners, really. You should be able to have a good go at that, but especially anyone wanting to take on this tutorial should follow that one first to learn the melody, because we'll be covering the melody in this, but not as thoroughly as we're doing that other one. We're adding essentially root notes to most of this, and we're starting off with the open thickest string, just playing on every kind of main pulse. Bum bum ba-dum bum bum bum. Bum bum ba-dum bum. That note that we had is at the 6th fret, and we're going to add it with the 3rd finger when the 1st finger plays. Dun, dun. 1st finger and then little finger like this. That's our sort of first shape that we're doing that is different to just the main melody. So we have the main melody. That is the first thing that I would practice. So as I say, get the melody first from the previous video. Practice getting to that shape, to the little finger. And then we want to be practicing just trying to working towards adding it on the main pulse. Bum bum ba-dum bum bum bum, just with the thumb ticking away, kind of on every. Could think of that as every beat of the bar, really. 1 2 3, 1 2 3. It has a bit of a waltz time feel, this one. But you could just try. Dun, 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 dun. Just try and keep it ringing out and playing it on that 2nd note. Play those two together first. Maybe there. I'm building this, fingerstyle piece up from the back, Bob Ross style. This is a bit of a custom arrangement, this one, so you won't find any other tab exactly like this. This is my interpretation of it. So that would be, in the end, that first section, or the first line. Can't get that far, this tutorial is too hard for you and you should stick to the easy version of it. And a suggestion is to look at my fingerstyle course. This is on the website and on the new Andy Guitar app. You'll also find it at andyguitar.co.uk. This is an ideal example of what we're working towards being able to play. A melody with some chords and some root notes. That's the idea of it. So we'll move on to the 2nd line now, because we're presuming that you're already at a level where you can cope with at least that first line, because we're going to be getting trickier. So the 2nd line starts off in the same fashion, exactly the same notes. And then I would go for 7th fret on the thinnest string. Now there's going to be a gap, because then we're going to go for a bar chord, but while we play that, the thickest string is still ringing out. And then we're going to go for a G minor A-shaped bar chord, like that. And then we essentially move this shape down once and then twice. And if we pluck that rather than strum it, I wouldn't be playing string 4, but I'd be playing all the rest with thumb, 1st, 2nd and 3rd finger. 3rd finger only. That's that signature move that's so Harry Potter. Finishing with the middle finger. So that was... just with that 2nd string, actually. My apologies. Couple of options with this next bit. I began, when I was trying to figure out an arrangement to this, playing it like that, which is a bar chord, essentially a C chord, using one of the cage shapes, the G shape actually. And I talk about the cage system and this sort of mentality in my intermediate course. this is a bar at the 5th fret on the thinnest 4 strings, and then the little finger playing fret 8 on the thinnest string, 3rd finger to middle, sorry. So 3rd, little finger, 3rd finger to 1st, but we only have to play that thinnest string. Now what I'm preferring the sound of is to keep the first 3 fingers the same, but to keep the thumb on the open A. I'm just liking the sound of this with the next chord, which is kind of a C7. So this is like a B7 chord, but moved up by 1 fret. Little finger playing the thinnest string. Boom, bum, bum. Let me play that for you and let me show you what that sounds like so we know what we're going for. What that means is, for this trickier bit, for this trickier chord, you don't have to play it. It's an option. You can just go thickest, string 5 with a thumb, little finger at 8th fret, 7th fret, and then 6th fret, so 8, 7, 6, or even with your first 3 fingers. And it's gonna sound pretty good, because that's, I don't always get those ones ringing out, to be honest. So we have dun, 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 dun. Much easier move. If you want to practice doing this cage shape, you know, play it with the first 3 fingers, or just the thinnest 4 strings. The choice be yours. Let me do it that way, just one more time, nice and slow, and then we'll move on to the second part of it, which gets a lot juicier. Just the second line. Okay, the next part. This bit, same as the melody that we learnt in the previous video, but with that thumb again on the pulse. Middle finger, when we get to the first finger, it's a C note on the thickest string. This is 8th fret. Quite fiddly actually, because we've got a lot of movement there. Middle finger to 3rd, da-da, C again, here, it's like that C7 shape, to 4th fret to 7th fret. You can occasionally see this tied with different chords, you know, depending on what version you're going for. This is essentially my version and just arranging it for guitar, so we're going for could do a flick off there to 3rd fret with the middle 2 fingers, 3rd finger slides over, and then to 7th fret. And from now on, it's exactly the same as the second line, as the 3rd line. So 3rd and 4th lines start exactly the same. And then the final 2 lines, you know, the 2nd and the 4th line are also the same for the second half. When you haven't got them under your fingers yet, it's hard, because if you don't know one, you don't know the other. But if you get those, if you get the first 3 lines, the final line is the same. It's already, the moves have already been done. So do please move on. What I would recommend is do please move on to that final line, even if it's not perfect, because it's composed of the earlier things, and you're making sure that you can get all the way along to the song. What I said in my previous tutorial in lesson 1 for this is don't just go back to the start every time when you're working through these kind of pieces. It's a real mistake that a lot of people make, because if you do that, you end up playing the first few notes in that first line many more times then you do line 2 or line 3 and line 4 never gets played. Well, you might be able to play line 4 fine, you don't know yet. You need to work through it in a block type fashion, splitting each line up into half and thinking about this, in quarters and eighths, and getting each part of it individually before you start stringing them together. That is my recommendation. With that in mind, let's just go for the third and fourth lines as a bit of a run through and then see how we could pick those apart. So let me do a run through one more time to show you where we are, and let me show you how I would work through this with yourself if we were in one-to-one lessons, for example. This would be the methodology. Third line. Okay, so with that, you've got to get before you've got anything. Get that first before you move on with this line, but then go from the 7 to 8 bit, so 7th fret, and just do that over and over again. What you'll find is when you pick it apart like this, it can actually get harder to play, because you're zooming in so much on one bit. But then you'll find little tricks like we can go pick flick off here, which you wouldn't have noticed if you hadn't given it a bit more time. And then when you string it together in the longer section, those finger motions are already a bit more automatic. Final line. One final time through the whole thing, just a little bit slower than I did at the beginning, but remember you can always slow down any video on YouTube using the cog function and getting it down to 0.75 or 0.5 to make it a bit easier. Let's have a look at this. 2, 3. There we go. I hope that's something that you're able to do. If not, my fingerstyle course is the thing that I would link to, and I'll link to that on the screen now. We have many more easier fingerstyle melodies on the Sandy Guitar YouTube channel. I hope you subscribe, and I hope to see you again. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.